Well, let's start the conversation. Where are you from?
I am originally from Charlotte, but my family has lived a whole lot of places. You would have thought we were military, the many places we lived. But I moved back to North Carolina from Florida.
Okay.
And I joined Teach for America, moved to Roanoke Rapids, which is where I live now.
Okay, great.
And I taught high school at Weldon STEM High School. So that was, my first introduction to education.
Wow.
Right.
So what had you majored in? Because first of all, Teach for America, folks don't know, I think it's a fabulous program.
It's great.
What it does is it takes guys who are just out of college, guys and girls, and pairs them up in teaching professions without necessarily a teaching certificate.
Exactly.
Tend to be tier 1 school systems. And the resource that you provide, I think, is awesome.
It's great. It's great.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I think that's significant to what you guys are doing in starting this new school that I want to come back and talk about.
Sure. Yeah. Well, to answer your first question, my degree was in engineering. So I was not even on the path to education. Didn't even think twice about it. It was a God thing.
But we start talking about STEM, so that's going to play into this conversation, I hope. If it's not, we're going to beat it home if you don't. But anyway, it is a God thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It just kind of fell in my lap, Teach for America, and I felt God really tugging at me to be a teacher and to get an education. So I just took that leap of faith, and Teach for America was great. I mean, they invested in me. They made sure I had what I needed to move back and my certifications rather, and all the support and coaching that I needed. So it was very helpful to start, that path in education. And then I met Shauna Lewis, who is the Freedom School coordinator.
And she is a rock star.
Amazing.
I had a chance to meet her.
She is hilarious.
Participate in that. And it's, golly, you do that assembly. And if you don't walk out of that feeling all charged up, you've got
You're
nothing
make me
going on.
Cry, get tear up, but
yeah, right. I'm sorry. I don't mean to take you off your trail.
It's fine. It's truly amazing, and I think my first Freedom School that I ever saw, I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Like the kids are so excited. They're so excited to be here. There's people from all over coming here. They're taking them on trips. And the growth that they get over one summer of being in Freedom School is tremendous. 20 months. I mean, that's incredible. You can't, there's no arguing that it's effective and necessary, needed. And so the vision for Peacemakers starting its own school was the fact that Freedom School has been so successful for 10 plus years now, and the amount of growth that our kids in South Rocky Mount could have if it was an all year long thing. Like if we're really pouring into them and investing in them for an entire year. And that's really what tugged at my heart to be a part of this vision and get on board with it, because it's incredible. Like, you don't see this every day, especially not in South Rocky Mount. There's not a lot of that. And there's so many kids that need that pouring into. They need that help. And someone to really invest and care enough to be.
Well, I think one of the things you're saying, I think is really important. I'd like to underscore it. For me, I'm an investor. That's what I do my day job, and run a small family office. But when I look at charities and I look at other not-for-profits, for me, I'm still looking for a return. Now that return may be measured in outcomes for kids, it may be measured in spiritual growth, it may be measured in different ways, but I'm still looking for a return. I'm looking for something that's measurable. And so I think you got to underscore the Freedom School, the impact of that on the kids who attend. Because one of the challenges that we all have, we all have this. You leave in June, woohoo! You got a good 3-4 months, Even better, praise the Lord. Oh my God, school's starting again. You tend to lose some things during that course of that year. But we're also talking about a population who may have some other challenges to have to confront that may cause even further reduction in what I've learned from year to year to year. So that's impactful. I think just using that as a springboard in your story, I got to say, is amazing, and it shows a great maturity and wisdom. And so anyway, you were in Roanoke Rapids. You were teaching high school. You got mixed up in the Peacemakers Freedom School in Rocky Mount. And you got hooked on the deal.
And I got hooked. And I've been hooked since then.
Good.
It's been an incredibly great learning experience as well, because I jumped from being a high school teacher to an administrative role, which required a lot of learning, still learning, right? And still just being challenged every single day. But the one thing that I can solely hold on to is the vision here, right? The need, the need is there. And that's my why. That's what keeps me going every day when things get hard and tough. I have to remember, we have kids we need to serve. There's a greater need. Our community needs us. And that's what's keeping me going. And I really feel like that's the reason God has placed me exactly where I am today. So I'm really excited.
Well, so I want to come back. I want to hear your testimony at some point, because you keep referencing God, because I think that's important. And clearly, it's a big part of why you're embarking on this journey. But well, let's just go there. And then what I want to hear is the springboard from how do we go from Freedom School to actually a vision to starter school, which I suppose is going to be functioning kind of as a charter school, perhaps. Is that really the format?
More private.
More private, okay.
But yes.
So we'll need to talk about the structure on that first. But but my sense is your mission is driven by your faith.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
I grew up very much so in the faith. My family, we always went to church. Very much God-centered. But I don't think that I really had my own relationship until I was in college and having to figure out life, and trying to get rooted into something that would spring forward, and be a solid foundation for me. And God was that, I had to learn the hard way on a lot of things.
We all do.
We all do. It's a part of life. But I feel like God was the one constant in my life, the one thing that kept me grounded and rooted when everything else seemed completely chaotic.
Right.
And just with my own career and my life, just how things kind of took a sharp left and a sharp right. And I thought I was doing one thing, and then God took me another way. And it just showed that my life is in His hands. And that's what keeps me rooted and grounded. Like, I have to keep Him first, because
just like a magnetic needle, it may shift around, but it always goes back north, right? And you just can't avoid it.
That's it. And that's our relationship. Like, I probably am the closest that I have been ever in my life to God right now, because I live alone. I don't have any family in this area, and so that's the one relationship that I know I will always have. And when it does get hard or lonely, or have those moments where you're like, oh my goodness, like, where's my support? My rock, that's God for me. So, and I never want to lose that.
Of course not.
I never want to lose it. And it gets stronger and stronger as time goes. So
that's awesome. Really appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how do we go from Freedom School for 10 years? And clearly it's been measurable impacts. And I've seen a lot of those numbers. And it's very impressive. It really is. And it's been quite an asset. So how do we go from Freedom School to, springboarding into an actual school? I guess is really going to be more of a private pay model.
It is.
And so I want you to tell a little bit about that. So how do you make that jump? Because that's a big jump.
It is a big jump. And I feel like, to kind of preface what has kind of gone on over the last 4 years, that Southside Academy has been in the works for about 4 years now.
Okay.
A lot of what was kind of kickstarted in Freedom School is what we're trying to implement now. So a lot of those key things, like a Harambe festival, or inciting excitement in the classroom, bringing books to life, and having books where kids see themselves in those stories and can relate to those things. A lot of those are what we're going to take and implement into our own school. And having a private school model did give us the freedom to be able to do a lot of those things. Than other schools may or may not have. And so I think that's the blessing. It is the creativity and the flexibility that we do have. And then we're also going to be implementing the classical model of education. Christy Sukowski, she is one of the CC, or classical mothers. She's been implementing that in her own home for years. And so she was actually one of the pioneers for Southside Academy. She was the one that was like, we need to start a school. And why is this not happening now? Why haven't Peacemakers started a school? And so she was that one voice to really kind of get it started. And bringing that vision from like a homeschool setting to an actual school is what, the ideal vision is for our school, is to bring that classical piece of learning, and keeping God at the center of everything. God is in our math and our science and in the world, and everything that we do is surrounded with that. And so that was the vision, and kind of just using our experiences working with Freedom School and our after school program, which is all year long. So a lot of what is being done there, we're also going to kind of carry over to Southside Academy as well. So a lot of experience over time, and just taking a lot of what's worked and implementing that in a year-long vision and model. Yeah. So,
that's phenomenal. So what's the philosophical basis? What are the principles that you're building the school off of?
Right. The number one thing being God is the center of everything, right? God-centered education. That is what differentiates from any other model, is keeping God the center of it all. Right. Nurturing our kids, making them love learning, creative and classroom engagement. I think from my experiences working in schools is kids lose that fire for education. They lose that yearn for knowledge and the fun, what makes reading fun and doing math fun. And so being able to re-implement that and allowing them to have a space where they're excited about coming to school and learning. That's the biggest thing, is just exciting that and reigniting that love for learning. And of course, allowing our kids to appreciate their own history and culture, I think, is very important. Working in South Rocky Mount, there's a lot of history, a lot of culture, and we want our kids to identify with that and have pride in that. We want them to be intentional with knowing, where did you come from, and how does that play a part in the world today, and how does that play a part in your future moving forward. And that's one thing we want to make sure that they feel welcome, and they feel safe in a space, and they feel like they see themselves in a space, and it can appreciate that too as well. And we also want to emphasize small class sizes too, because that to me was the biggest challenge working in a larger school, is having 30 kids in a class and you're wanting to give each child a personalized education. But there's so many of them, and you don't get that opportunity to build a relationship with each of them. And so that's one thing that we really want to hone in on and emphasize on as well. Sorry, but my eyes are watering so bad. I don't know why. It's the light.
You're doing great. That's right.
But,
you're all good.
So I think that's what is going to make the difference. At least that's what our prayer and our hope is, right? We want this to be something that will carry on for generations, and to provide or be a model for many other schools and other organizations and programs that have the same yearn for education as we do. And so that's our goal and that's our vision. And
I think a fantastic goal. Fantastic.
You can't go wrong with it, right?
No, I don't see how you do. But so if I have a kid and I want to enroll, how do I go about the process? When do you start taking students? I mean, our enrollment in prime time yet? Or
this is prime time right now. We started enrollment October 15th.
Okay.
And so
and that's for next
year, yes.
Starting, I guess, September, October, I guess,
Yes. And so our deadline is February 18th, which is maybe I think it's a little over 2 weeks away. But we've been pushing that out to the community to try to encourage them to go ahead and enroll a rising kindergarten and first grader, because we're starting off with kindergarten and first grade. And then our goal is to add a grade level each year until 8th grade.
As they grow into it,
so that, the kids that we start with can finish with us. And then
it also gives you a chance to kind of tweak your curriculum, tweak your staff. Hey, look, maybe this didn't work so well. And it gives you a chance to perfect it over a much longer period of time without being so reactive.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that does give us the opportunity to kind of partner with other high schools that have that same model, so that we can send our kids over there so they can continue with that learning. So that's the vision and the goal.
So what's the cost of tuition if I wanted to go?
$35 a month.
Okay.
$35 a month. We have a budget for $7,000 per child.
Okay.
And majority of that is being covered with the North Carolina Opportunity Scholarship.
Great.
Another portion is being covered with private donors
Sure.
in the community. And then our families only have to cover 5% of that cost, which equates to about $35 a month.
I think that is fantastic.
I mean, you can't beat that, right?
No.
And the goal for that, the vision for that really was because we're serving low-income families.
Right.
We don't want financial burden to be
predominantly, but it
them.
shouldn't necessarily be exclusive to either, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And so with enrollment, we do have it open to all of Rocky Mount, obviously.
Sure.
We don't want to hinder anyone that God may send to us.
That's right. And if you want to actually write the $7,000 check, that's good too, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly. So we're not going to, knock it or anything like that.
Sure.
We did want to make it accessible to everyone, right? We wanted this to be not a hindrance. We wanted it to be open to those that really need it. That's just another resource, another opportunity that's not there yet that we wanted to present to the community. So to answer your question about how to enroll, our website, www.Southside Academy, our enrollment application is online. They can also come to our facility. We're located at Peacemakers of Rocky Mount, which is off 2221 West Raleigh Boulevard. And so they can pick up an application. They can fill it out right there. We can help them out if they need help, filling out the application.
So how many kids do you anticipate kind of launching this with at kindergarten and first grade? Or where are you now?
Our cap is 48.
Okay.
So we're looking at 24.
2 classes, I guess, at 24. Okay.
2 classes of kindergarten, 2 classes of first grade, 24 each.
Yep.
I'd say enrollment right now, we still have a lot of opening for enrollment. So if, if families who haven't had a chance to apply yet, we're open. Definitely bring it in.
Come on in. Let's make it happen.
We'll welcome. Exactly.
$35
a month.
Private school, the touch and feel and the opportunity that presents is big.
It's huge. You can't beat that. I don't think I know any private school that's that affordable.
I
don't think I do.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't anywhere.
Right.
So there had to be some challenge with finding the teachers.
Well,
building the curriculum. I mean, we're starting from scratch. Now, I know. I know you probably have some models to work off of, and some people with some experience. So it's not like, Imani just sat around and just came up with this idea. But tell me about how you built that team. How did you come about it? I mean, clearly it's been a God-led mission for you, and
absolutely.
it's for Peacemakers, right?
A lot of prayer.
You're walking. Feels like you're walking down the water a little bit.
Yes, just a little. And with our board of directors, so we started off kind of building a committee, of people who are just passionate about what we're doing. A lot of the people who are like pioneers for Southside Academy, who had been planning even before I got on the team, were there. And then we built a board of directors based off of people from that team, as well as local educators, people in the community, people from foundations who were donating. And so it's kind of like a mixture of many different skill sets on our board of directors, because we wanted as much expertise, and wisdom in planning. And what better way than to have people from all fields, all works of life, and all different areas of experience, so they could pour in from many different angles than seeing just one narrow vision. So that we were extremely intentional with, and just people who have worked with Peacemakers for so long over the years, whether it be Freedom School or Hometown Hires, people from all over. So our board of directors is comprised of about 12. And then now we're kind of in the process of scouting out educators for our staff and our team. So we'll start interviews for that next month, actually.
Okay,
so that is, we have not started hiring people or making offers just yet. We definitely want to be very intentional with who
I think that's important. And you also need to know how many kids you're actually trying to touch, too. While you have a goal, there may be a need for more or less. And before you start the process, start making commitments and people start changing lives.
You want to be prepared,
That's right. So, I get that.
Yeah. So that's why we kind of focus February on being enrollment season, getting those enrollment numbers solidified in. We're going to begin doing family interviews, because that's a part of the enrollment process, is getting to know who our families are.
That's right.
Because we want them to be involved.
Well, they become part of the community.
They're part of that partnership.
So what is the expectation of parent involvement? Because, I mean, clearly I'm guessing there's probably something there, because That enriches the educational experience without question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. On the application, we have a section where families have to check what exactly they want to commit to, whether that be through donating supplies that we may need, or being a classroom monitor or a tutor, or just volunteering with whatever we may need. So we're wanting to hold our families accountable to committing to do something. And we understand families, they have jobs, they have lives, they have other kids. So we don't want to press them to, you have to be here all the time, right? We just want you to be committed and be a part of what we're doing. We also make it a requirement for families to read to their child at least 20 minutes a day. But that's another thing that we wanted to extend the learning beyond the school hours. I think parents have to be a part of that whole entire experience. They can't, just send their child to school and say, you guys take care of them and send it back home to us. And, so we want them to be actively a part of what is happening. We want them to know about our curriculum model, what that looks like, train our parents on it, talk to them about what we're doing at school so that they can start practicing those things at home as well. So it's a whole holistic effort to make sure that we're all a part of that village for that one child. So, yeah, we have big hopes.
One of the most powerful stories I think I heard was the Ben Carson story in his life, right?
Yeah.
So, and I just mentioned that because, not everybody maybe can't read so good, right? So that may be a daunting kind of challenge.
Yeah.
But just for folks who are not familiar with the story, I know you are, is his mother required that he read to her for 20 minutes a day. And he would be challenged with some of the words. She'd say, "Oh, come on, sugar, you got this. You got it, baby. Don't you worry about it." And he had to figure it out himself. And he felt probably, I'm sure he felt like that was maybe a little unfair from time to time. But many years later, he realized his mother actually couldn't read. But she was holding him accountable and holding him at a place that she knew that he could be successful. And the education really is, I believe, the absolute fundamental building block to success.
It is.
No matter how you define that, whether it be through acquisition of wealth, whether it's accomplishment, whether it's just, living a great life and providing for your family. I mean, however you define that, it's very difficult to do it without a solid basic education.
Absolutely.
And that's what creates the most, that's the singular biggest leveling of the playing field. It doesn't do 100%, but it sure gets you a long way down the road.
Oh, absolutely. And when you think about some of the most successful people in the world, they had to start with a K-12 education, right? They had that one teacher that sewed into them and invested in them, or that one
mentor. Who was your teacher?
Oh my goodness. I had several favorites, but honestly, my favorite teacher was in college.
All right. Well, that's fine. It's about being impactful, right?
It is,
which teacher was that for you?
His name was Dr. McGee.
All right.
He was my biological systems engineering professor in my junior and senior year. I remember vividly, he told me one day, he was really the one that showed me that I had the potential, right? Because engineering was absolutely difficult. Like that was some of the most challenging time that I had at college, was going through an engineering
course. I'm a political science major, right?
Oh,
so I'm not even going to play the game with you. You win.
Listen, it was so challenging. But he was the one person that did not allow me to give up.
Okay.
There was many times I would go into his office saying, I think I want to change my major.
Sure.
I don't think I can do this.
Sure.
But he was like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. And I think you're overthinking your abilities. And I think that you have a lot of skills. And he was the one to really shine that light through me.
Right.
And I think it takes someone doing that, pouring that light into you when you don't see it.
Right.
And I think that's what makes a difference.
Well, it also creates an expectation, right? So it's something funny when somebody holds you to a standard. It's amazing how people tend to rise up to wherever that level is.
Yeah.
And so like, oh no, I'm not going to accept that from you because you're better than that.
That's right. They hold you to an expectation, a high expectation.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what we're planning to do with Southside Academy. Is we have a really high expectation for our kids, for our families, for ourselves. And that, I think, is what's going to make the difference in the growth that we see, and just the overall love for learning that we want our kids to have, is pouring that into them and holding them to that expectation. So
one of the things I'm excited about is if anybody can help with STEM education, which we all know is a basis for all kinds of good things going forward, right?
It is.
It's you. And so I think that's a godsend that you're here. And I want to thank you for participating in the mission. And I want to tell you anything I can do ever to help you guys be successful. You've got me. Just let me know. I'm 100% behind you.
We so appreciate that. Again, and just for the time to sit here and talk about what we're doing, because we're so passionate about it.
Sure.
We just want more people to know, that this is an opportunity. Of course, we've reached so many already, telling them about our school, but there's still so many that don't know what we're doing here, and that this is an opportunity that literally we cannot afford to miss, right? Because it's necessary. We want there to be great education all over, accessible to everybody, and joining in the efforts that current educators are doing now. So that's the goal. And we just appreciate your time and allowing us to use this platform.
If there's a singular thing that me or anybody in the community or the community as a whole could do for you right now to advance the ball, what would that be? What would you ask for? And it doesn't have to be one thing. It could be 5 things, but what comes to your mind?
Sure. Well, I think of the 2 things that we have coming up right now, our enrollment. So we really want families that have rising kindergarten and first graders to know that they can apply. It's free to apply. You just have to go to our website, or you could just come visit us and we'll give you an application. And then we do a monthly partner night where we have community members actually come to our facility. We teach them about what we're doing, and we kind of give them an overview of what our vision is. And it gives them the opportunity to find out ways they want to partner, whether it be monetarily or they want to be an active partner where they're coming and volunteering, meeting our families, being a part of that vision. It's a community effort, right? You have to have your community a part of this vision in order for it to be effective and to work, and to have them be equally as passionate about it. So we'll be having our partner night this month on the 24th at 6:30. And so if they want more information about attending or if they want to RSVP, they can just give us a call at our number, 252-212-3441.
And you have a website, I'm sure you do.
And our website, www.southside.academy. Or they can go to Peacemakers of Rocky Mount, and there's a tab that says Southside Academy right there. It has all the information. So all the, anything that we're doing upcoming, they can find out through there. We also have a Facebook page, Southside Academy, and an Instagram page, Southside Academy. So
Outstanding.
So, we just want as many to know about what we're doing as possible so that we can support our community the best way that we can. So
I will commit to helping you any way I can.
Well, thank you.
And thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And I tell you what, your enthusiasm is incredibly infectious.
Thank you so much.